Hi everybody, my name is Eva O'Brien and I'm a project coordinator here at Mass LBP. We're a democracy shop located in Toronto, Ontario, Canada, and we have a program called the Gosbee Fellowship. Here with me is Nadia Ahmed. She was our 44th Gosbee Fellow and she's here to talk to us today about her experience. Hey Nadia.
Hey Eva. Hi everyone.
So thanks for chatting with me today, and I'm going to start with a lowball easy question. Tell us what brought you to Mass in the first place.
Sure. So I first heard about Mass LBP through a course that I took at McMaster University, which is where I was completing my political science degree. We had a course called Politics from Below, and we had a professor that invited Peter McLeod from Mass LBP, the principal here, to speak to us. And it was a really interesting class, and it was the first time we'd really talked about deliberative democracy in practice. Like, we'd all studied the theory and things like that, but to see it actually happening, an hour away up in Toronto, was something that was really interesting. And then the fact that Mass has this program to involve young people, it just seemed like a really good place for me to kind of learn from. So I applied for the fellowship.
Very cool. I didn't actually know that.
Oh, cool.
That's so cool.
The origin story. Yes.
It's Nadia's origin story. Oh my god. Very cool. So I'd like you to think about your fellowship on the whole and tell us if there was a highlight or a moment that you can remember really clearly, or something that stuck out to you from your time with us.
Sure. One of the kind of key takeaways and most interesting aspects of the Mass LBP, the Gosbee Fellowship, is the exposure to all the different projects and different organizations that you get to learn about. One of my favorite projects to work on, and something that I really took a lot away from, was actually the Metrolinx Regional Reference Panel. It was take 2 of the panel, so it was a second time Mass worked with Metrolinx on a reference panel, and it was really interesting because it was a client that Mass was very comfortable and familiar with, but at the same time it was a very different panel than the one previously, and obviously the panel's character is informed by the people that choose to be on it, and I got to be part of it kind of from beginning to end of their orientation. So right from sending out the initial letters to folks and asking people to volunteer, and so speaking to a wide range of people who had a wide range of opinions on whether or not we should have a panel and whether or not it was interesting, and then obviously meeting the 36 final folks who were on the panel, and just working with them over the course of my term. And the thing that I found the most sort of interesting and valuable about that was how interested people were in an issue like transportation, which is something that folks don't necessarily think is an interesting issue. I know I didn't, but it's definitely something that taught me to think more broadly about what's out there and what public policy means, and how even something like transportation can really impact people's lives.
Very cool. That's awesome. And it is interesting. We send out the letters and then we wait. And people respond by letter or by phone or online. And usually our fellows are on the phones picking up those phone calls and registering people. And I saw Nadia do a lot of that, which was pretty neat. And then, the people are selected, and then you get to meet them in real life, and you get to make those phone calls saying you've won the lottery. It's a really nice growth experience, and that you got to go through their orientation with them. It was very cool. Jumping off of that, still speaking about your experience with the fellowship, what's one skill or something that you got better at, or something that you developed while you were a fellow at Mass?
There's a lot of different things that you're going to pick up throughout the fellowship, and a lot of things that you get to sort of try out in a public space, in a professional space that you might be used to doing personally or in an academic space. Something I learned a lot about, just one of sort of many things, would be research. So I learned a lot about sometimes I would get a research assignment that started at 1 p.m. was when the assignment was explained to me, and then I had to basically be done research by 1:30. So that kind of, and that's all on purpose, and because whatever you can find in half an hour on that topic is what we need to know. And so that kind of thing it was very different from academic research that I was typically used to. And so it was a really interesting experience and what counts as a legitimate source was a little bit different and things like that. So it was a really cool skill to gain.
Awesome. Yeah, it is amazing how much time we spend in the research world when you think about it, especially fellows, because it's a good way for you to familiarize yourself with a project or a realm that we're working in, because so many of our clients come from different places within and outside of government. So my last question for you before I let you go is, you're sadly no longer a fellow. We are on to Gosbee Fellow number 45, and I'm wondering what comes next for you now that you've finished the fellowship.
Yeah, so definitely very interested in kind of staying in the public policy world, and hopefully as close as possible to something that involves the public and public engagement. I'm currently looking at different opportunities. Some are in community development and very on the ground and forward facing or frontline work in a sense, mostly because of the great experience that I had with the panelists, and it's really opened my mind to the types of people that want to be involved in politics or want to be involved in their communities, and so all of a sudden that type of work sounds a lot more interesting. So that's something that I'm looking at, and of course I would love to take this perspective and be part of either the provincial or federal government, because I think that sometimes it's something that's a little bit missing from our policy conversations, is the voice of the public.
Amazing. Well, I'm excited to see where you end up, and you have to keep in touch with us, of course. So thank you for taking the time to chat today and telling us about your experience as a Gosbee Fellow. If you are interested in applying for the fellowship, we hire throughout the year. There's a couple of different sessions throughout the year, so if you go to masslbp.com/Gosbee-fellowship, you can learn a ton more and see all of our next deadlines, and maybe join us. Thanks for watching, and see you later. Okay, great. Yay! First cut!